Miami won 47-10. Please, North and Jordan, tell me when Manny is going to be sent packing. It is after December 1st when his buyout goes down by $2 million. Chug, that is exactly what I believe as well. I believe that we are waiting for the $2 million to drop off on his buyout. And other than that, I still think Manny Diaz is going to be removed. What about you?
Yeah. It's unfortunate because the end of the season has been interesting, but I think with Rhett Lashley moving on to SMU just has to be the final nail in the coffin. I mean, Manny Diaz, he would be on the extreme hot seat next year, and it would be, in my opinion, something like very Clay Helton-like short leash, where he could be fired after week 3. Like, do you really who are you? So he would have to hire an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator. And who's going to come on a 1-year deal? Because anything longer than a 1-year deal for those guys that's the university just lighting money on fire, because you're just going to have to buy them out. It just doesn't make any sense at this point. And that's unfortunate, I don't know exactly how these negotiations work, but maybe they approach Manny and they're like, hey, if Mario and Lane don't want to come here, we'll keep you for another year, but I mean, I don't know.
Do the due diligence, right?
Yeah.
Exercise every option available. Don't leave any stone unturned, whether it's ones that we necessarily don't want to hear about or not, do them anyways. Be thorough. After this last hire we did with Diaz, dude, all I can scream about is due diligence. A $4 million buyout from Temple to buy out their second coach. They wanted Mike Elko. So, I mean, yeah, we need to do better than that.
Well, would you even – so say we don't get Lane Kiffin or Mario Cristobal, would you even want Manny at that point? Like would Manny be your third option another year, or are you just done?
I'm done.
I'm done too.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I hate saying that. I really do, honestly, because we've seen improvement. We've seen things change, but they've changed in areas that are a lot out. They're not really Diaz being hands-on with those changes, and those changes were forced late by certain just by chance. A lot of them, It's tough, man. It's a tough one, dude, because like you mentioned, we saw where this team ended up at. We saw true improvement.
Yep.
But dude, the little stuff is what bothers me. It's just that little stuff over and over. Why did it take so long for us to do what was right?
I agree.
When are we going to actually value recruiting? When are we going to actually develop our own players? These are things that I've never seen as a Manny Diaz time as head coach. Dude, it's very frustrating to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I went back and listened to some of the off-season. I was curious about. As a content creator, right? I was curious about what I was saying before the season. So I went back and listened to some of the Fours Up podcast episodes that I did from the off season. And one of the quotes from myself was, I was talking about if we ended up 8-4. And I said, if we return 19 starters, we're bringing Rhett Lashley back, all this stuff. If we go 8-4 the schedule, I said Manny and Blake James need to be gone. 8-4 is underachieving with our schedule, and we ended up 7-5. So, yeah, and at the time, to be fair, at the time, I didn't think that Michigan State would be as good as they turned out. I think that's an acceptable loss in retrospect, but even still, so handicap that by one game, we're at 7-5 then, and that's what we are. So 7-5, that's just not acceptable. But when you bring 19 starters back, it's just not, especially after 8-3 last year, man.
You bring the 19 starters back, and they're not even the ones that help you win games. You have this misconception that players, just because they have experience, means they're going to be good and add value. But we learned that's not true at all. We learned you need to play the right guys at the right time, regardless of their age. It took too long to do that. It really did. It took too long for us to put the right guys in at the right spots and give them the right snaps. But thankfully, this is what I hope that it is a blueprint for the next OC to come in. That's what I hope. I hope that he sees a blueprint that worked at Miami, and he takes it and he advances with it. You know how it is. You can't run the same stuff over and over again. but there's things that we can use from the Lashley offense that can help us going forward, even after he's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Mike Williams, appreciate the donation earlier. I know we missed it, but thank you. Appreciate it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I just think, Michigan Kane said you can't go 7-5 and lose to FSU. Keep your job. I agree, man. It's just kind of where we're at, and it's unfortunate. But it's just kind of too little, too late, in my opinion.
We shouldn't settle. We shouldn't settle for this at the end of the year stuff. We shouldn't.
No.
We shouldn't be forced to have to go. Okay, well, they might have got things right here towards. Let's see if they can get it right next year. Because the way Manny Diaz starts is he starts bad usually. That's the way it starts. If we can't get behind anymore, especially early in the season,